Hey everybody. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving weekend. And it feels like it's been a long time actually. Also didn't have any in-person classes last week. So anyway, we're winding down here. We only got a 2.5 weeks left. That's it. So pretty much it'll be just three more lecture tapes, and actually really just two with, I would say, with substance. This one, which probably won't be very long because I mean we're winding down here. Um, right now I think with the feedback you're going to get is because much more on an individual basis because you have your final assignment, and of course you have your rewrite on the feature. Okay, which is due when this is posted. It'll be due on Monday when this video will be posted. Then we'll be done with that, and then it's just 2.5 weeks for you to do the final assignment. So anyway, everybody's topic has been approved for that. And I would just say that probably would want to start. I know, like last week I said this, but really I mean, if you can get some like rough drafts in this week, that'd be great. I usually probably expect them to really come in like the last week, so that's fine if it's next week or whatever. Um, you know, I'm actually running ahead of my typical schedule for this class. And if you have any, and I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this tape in time, but I mean, of course, I'm also expecting people to have drafts in by right after Thanksgiving. So, you know, um, I figure that if there's any kind of issue with that, let me know. All right, so let's just look at again at the feature story again. And again, I don't know if you're actually gonna be able to see this in time, but um again, one of the things I noticed from this class a lot, I mean, there were a lot of good assignments that came in from all three of my classes. And I used Anthony Matura from one of my in-person classes as my example, but everybody pretty much, everybody pretty much did well on this and followed especially really good anecdotes like the ones you see here, starting off with a singular person because you can dig in deeper that way. Um, Ryan Hopp, a Rutgers sophomore, said the recent fluctuating weather in New Jersey has been the worst case scenario for someone who overthinks to the degree that he does. Okay, leaving a little bit of a cliffhanger there. Because what's going to happen next? Is like a big wall going to fall on top of him? I'm kidding, but he shared that each morning he spends 5 to 10 minutes in his closet pondering what outfit is appropriate a given day. I don't know about the clothing. He finds that this is not enough time as he steps outside and realizes he made the wrong choice. Thanksgiving is next week, Hop said. This is supposed to be the prime time to throw on a flannel and blue jeans without skipping a beat. Hop is the only Rutgers student, and it's the nut graph, has found his daily routine interrupted by the dramatic spikes and declines in recent temperatures. Great number of students are frustrated and say they do not need the stress on top of an increasingly exhausting workload. For some, then we wind into transitions. For some students, the fluctuation of temperatures is an unfortunate exaggeration of their seasonal allergies. Now, this is a good nut. This is a good nut graph because basically, usually, the good nut graph is usually about two sentences, I would say. And first, it basically identifies the problem, and then there's always some sort of call to action. What are they doing about it? Even if it's like, even the call to action is basically failure. They can't do anything about it, and they don't know what to do about it. So, but this basically just kind of really just sums up what the whole story says. And then we had basically some we had transitions which are really key. I really clamped down on these for this story because it's really important to have somebody to guide through the waters of a deeper story, to have like some sort of a transitions to help guide you from point to point, anecdote to anecdote, because the anecdotes are deeper. For some students, the fluctuation has led to exaggeration of their seasonal allergies. And we got Joseph, can't pronounce the last name, can't quite recall an autumn in which his allergy symptoms have been so difficult to ignore. And in addition to his typical nasal congestion, he claims that this may very well be the itchiest his eyes have ever been. So anyway, that's a good anecdote. Usually a couple sentences for an anecdote, describing a story within a story. Okay. So anyway, just a little bit on that because I know that I know that's actually due today. So just let me know if you got any kind of issues or anything like that. I know we're coming back from a break. So and then, that's really about it. I had an issue with, by the way, with people, not in our class, not in the, not in the, that was the example I provided before, by the way, which I did talk about last week, but, I did have an issue with one class, actually, one of my in-person classes, of people not handing things in on time last week, and I told them, and I actually, like, sometimes I'm kind of like, when it's like one or two people, I'm like, oh, whatever, but it's like a wave of people, I'm like, what? So I told them that your grades are going to be a grade lower, and that's not good. And especially at this time of year, because I want to remind you that this feature assignment does count more. Okay, remember the rubric I laid out, the very fundamental elementary rubric I laid out before. Okay, um, and that is that the second last assignment counts more. Okay, it counts twice as much as each individual assignment previously. And of course, the major assignment, which I'll talk about in a bit again, counts 4 times as much as each prior individual assignment. So if the 70% of your writing grade is your 70% of your total grade, so 18.2% of your writing of your 70% is your feature assignment. 36.4 is your major assignment. So these last two assignments are more than 50% of your writing grade. Okay, that's a lot. All right, and the whole idea was actually to have that benefit you, because I want to see people actually, like, I'm going to grade on progress. I mean, you guys have come a long way since the first time of the story on somebody okay, and I'm seeing it all around. I mean, there's a large number of A's that gave out this time around, so I appreciate that. All right. So yeah, I mean, I might actually give out a lot of A's, to be honest with you. So let's do that. Let's get an A, okay? If you get a B plus, go for an A, okay? All right. So, like I said, we have the next 2.5 weeks, and like I said, like the last week, which is going to be like a few days, because it's due on the 12th, the final assignment. So basically, again, the idea there is really just, I'm probably just gonna have some sort of parting message, that sort of thing. But hopefully by then you will be you will be all ready to go and have handed me some sort of a rough draft. I just want to give you an example. Now I've given out a lot more feedback than this on rough drafts, but I want to give you an example of a typical thing that I typically see, or typically how I handle the providing feedback on rough drafts. Because remember, on the final assignment, there is no rewrite. Okay. And let me just call it up again. So, and remember, like, it's got to be done on time. Okay. All right. Actually, I'm sorry. It's Wednesday. The other classes are December 12th. You're December 13th. I gave you guys an extra day. Because you're not because they have their last class on December 12th, blah blah blah. Anyway, so I gave you guys till December 13th. There's a video that I already showed you guys, showed you how to approach this. Remember, no rewrite, all the topics have been approved. But that, again, what I like to call, it's almost like a rewrite in reverse. So what you should be doing is doing like what Eva DeAndrea did. And almost just about everybody does this, and they send me a feedback, that sort of thing. And they send me a final they think is basically, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. And one thing I typically encounter is when people do this type of story, instead of actually, what I want is more information. I mean, but I want, when I say more information than the typical story we've done, I mean, maybe more people, more sources, more perspectives. What people typically lapse into is they think this is a longer story, and they think it's the final assignment, and it's the major assignment. So they have to, again, they revert back into expository writing research paper mode. No, we're still doing a journalism news story, okay? And I expect the story to be a story that's like straight, and doesn't dwell on background unless that background's on the bottom of the story. It's still an inverted pyramid story, okay? What I typically run into is that people tend to think that they have to go into some sort of level of background early on and try to explain everything and trying to almost erase everything that we've talked about this semester by putting background up high on the top like you would in a research paper. Like this one right here, Sun, sorry, I can't pronounce that name, member of the Korean girl group Twice, recently came under fire for wearing a shirt featuring blah blah. She posted a series of images for her time in New York City to Instagram on March 21st with the caption "Girls, Girls, Girls." Almost immediately, fans began to comment that the shirt wore in several of the she wore in several of the pictures, which featured the pink on concept images. After fans began to comment on the offensive nature of the shirt, deleted the post shortly after he issued an apology. Okay, so there's one big problem with this. I don't know if you recognize this already. Again, this was the original draft. I think this person eventually got an A on this, but this is background, okay? This is all background on the actual incident, okay? And it actually keeps going on and on and on. And in some ways, says when fans accepted the apology, many found the apology weak. And this is what I was looking for. What I told Ava was that this story can be done, and she wanted to write about this particular topic. But I said, much like I say to you guys, I've said to you guys already, that if you want to like have some sort of a fresh angle on a story like this, probably the best way to do that is maybe to get the reaction to that story. Okay, it's a story I know I harp on about. I have a story I harp on that probably a little too much, but getting the litmus test, getting like so what they say is like taking the temperature of the public is a good idea because it gives people some idea whether they should relate to it or not or connect to it or not, that sort of thing. And people like those kinds of stories. They see it when you see like stories on the upcoming presidential election, that sort of thing. Like which way is the country going, or how are people feeling? Are they going to go the way of Biden? Are they going to go the way of Trump? What's going to happen? So anyway, so and then there was a lot of kind of like references back to like more of the controversy and blah blah blah. But the story was not on the controversy. That had happened already. What I said to her was, you got to focus away from the controversy. That's been written about already. You can refer back to it, but what you need to do is you need to write about the reaction to it and just stay focused on the reaction. This person feels this way. This person, some people feel this way, like it's a transition, and then you write it, and then it's done. Other people feel this way, blah blah blah, and then it's done. Okay. So what I wrote was, I don't have a problem with the number of graphs, which is one of the questions they asked. I'm just looking for the new angle here, and I thought it was supposed to be the fans' reactions. You spend way too much time going to the background of the situation. You need to focus on the people's reactions and have them allude to the different issues involved, like we did with the weather. Yeah, like we did with the weather story in the feature assignment. We did it last year too. Yes, it's true. Okay, so and that was the feedback I provided. Okay, so actually, what I should have done was I should have gone back to the actual feature story, which I will do now. I'm sorry you have to go through this watching process. So let's see here. We got writing for media, spring. This was remote. Let's see how Ava did. There she is. And oh, actually, that's how it ended up. She actually never corrected. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Yeah, that's an example of somebody who didn't listen to what I was saying. This has way too much background. Wanted a reaction story, and there was way too much about the history of the whole thing. The story is really more of a recounting of the controversy, and it's not new. And how people reacting now, you should have treated this more like the story like we did earlier in the semester. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that she didn't actually like follow through. Wow. Well, there you go. That's what she got the reaction, but she didn't follow through. Let's go through maybe another paper here. See like somebody actually did. Here we go. Students and faculty at Rutgers University expressed their concerns about the outcomes of the rest of the semester as talk about a union strike grows near. Now this final, I gave her a break because she actually wrote a story about a reaction before the strike actually happened. So, so I basically said, okay, well, let's just consider this story as a story that would have been written before the strike actually happened. Professors say they're just as clueless as students when it comes to their information known. And basically, like some students say there's support for student staff, and there's a student right here. Quote's probably a little long, but then like Douglas expressed that he found the strike was being organized and that they needed to keep their voices out there. So the story is not about the strike, it's about the reaction to the strike or the possibility of a strike coming. Majority of other students say they're confused at what is happening, but happy to get another dose of spring break. Okay. And then, we have Augustine Osis right here. So this, in contrast to the other story, does not keep referring back to the history of the strike and what happened there and the whole thing. This story actually like just focuses strictly on the reaction. And that's why the person got the A. Okay. So that's, if, please follow through on my suggestions. I'm trying to look at here. I think this was actually due the following Monday. I guess maybe this person didn't work on it over the weekend. That's too bad. Other people did did come in with assignment, and actually sometimes I just tell people, look, this is already good enough. This is very good, and it's an A, as you can see. I apologize for writing this late, but I did not finish a rough draft of the major assignment. It's too late. So I guess it was a little bit late in the process. I guess when people get a little bit close. Now you guys got I think the due date last year was actually on a Monday, like I said, so they had the weekend. So it was probably a little bit late for questions. Now you guys got the middle of the week, so you could probably that's good because I won't plan to be like going anywhere during the week. I plan to be working. So I won't be too far afoot. So it'll probably be easier for you guys to actually like get your rough drafts in like almost like right up to the deadline than I guess this class was. So but I saw it and I said, you know what? That's what I say to some people. Said that it's very good in an A, and then they were able to handle it in, and their semester was over. So, all right. So you can do that too. Okay, but just the feedback really needs to come to me. It needs to come to me in the form of an email. Okay. Please don't send it through Canvas email. Like I said, I mean, I have been answering questions and taking emails from there because I guess some people prefer to do that, but I really prefer people to actually write me directly because I find that Canvas email to be totally user unfriendly. So please just send me an email directly, okay, in your regular email. So that's something to think about over the next 2 weeks. Like I said, I mean, maybe this week, maybe I shouldn't expect a lot coming in. Maybe it's a good time to maybe kind of slow down a little bit, really think about your process, maybe think about the reporting you need to do. Like I said, you got to think about this story. It's probably twice as long as a typical story, so you got to think about who you're going to interview, how many people are going to interview. Like I said, if you need help with I'm sorry, I'm tired today. Ran a 5-mile run yesterday. If you need help with maybe I'm going to post a discussion point or something like that, I'd be happy to do that. So that'd be fine. But like I said, right now the major point is really just one-on-one with me to making sure you're on the right track for this assignment. If you want to send multiple rough drafts, that'd be fine too. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I've had people go up to send me 8. That's a little bit high, okay. But I mean, just really try to get this stuff in and show me that you're this also, I take this to consideration for class participation too, that you're actually engaging with me in the whole thing. So, all right. And so, like I said, I didn't have a lot new to introduce or say or anything like that. So that's really it. And I guess next week I'll probably be talking to you about more about rough drafts. Maybe I'll see even a couple come in. I'll talk to you about that, see how they're doing. And that's it. All right. So thanks very much, guys, and I will be talking to you.